It is that time once again, my fellow Chibits. The best time of the week. Friday. Friday has so much good anime. But the best way to end a Friday is Haikyuu Season 3. Tendo, my boy. Tendo, yes, I'm saying my boy, because this man is quickly moving up to one of my favorite characters just because of some of his lines, but his interaction with Kurosano, he's so fascinating. And what he said in this episode, I busted and got laughing. It was just smiling. Let me kind of quote him. Miracle Boy, Satori. This man is so good. I love this character. I really hope this character reoccurs throughout the series because he's such a good character. He reminds me so much of Hisoka. I mean, this is like Hisoka's long-lost cousin slash brother, just the way this man interacts with Kurosano. I'm just so happy to see this character. He's definitely livening up the different episodes of, Haikyuu, because this man is so interesting to watch. So, besides that, this episode, wow. The methods or the concepts of Kurosano versus Shiratori, that was the main point of this episode, like the main message, so to say. Because Kurosano, as we know, since the very beginning, they've always been building up their strengths through teamwork. For instance, not everybody can do everything. And you have it to where these individuals, they work together to overcome larger opponents. And they usually overcome their opponents through brute force, but they do it in a way as a team. They don't try to have one man be the main powerhouse. They try to showcase this power through everybody working together, which is one of their main techniques when they are working together. And this is displayed throughout this episode, what type of, concept they have when it comes to their volleyball. And Shiratori, they are kind of similar, but the concept is very different. For instance, they're both schools that believe in power, forcing their way through the opposing team with pure brute force. But the way they do this is completely different, which is displayed throughout this episode. Shiratori, as we know, is kind of built around the main ace, the man that can hit every ball, and Suga got pissed off. He's like, is this man Mr. fucking Perfect? Is this man perfect? Mr. freaking Perfect? I love the way Suga acted like that. That was great. And so, we know how both of these teams work. We have to, Kurosano, they're built upon their entire team working together, while this other team, they're all pretty strong individuals. They're very strong individually. But overall, though, you have it to where they can work by themselves. They don't need to all work together to be able to win against their opponent. So, this is where Kurosano is very different. They are individually strong. Kurosano, they are very strong too individually, but they mainly work together, and that's what really their strength is, about. For instance, working together and overcoming their opponent with different tactics. And that I love about this episode, displaying how these schools are very different, but similar in the exact same way. And that makes for a very great episode, especially seeing the different techniques and how both schools were surprising each other and staying neck to neck throughout the entire match with the points. And once again, stamina was the big topic of discussion with this episode. It was brought up actually a couple times, and we saw a character which seemed to be lacking in stamina. And it's actually two characters, but one of the big characters were Kageyama. So, it was mentioned, it was implied, so to say. It wasn't actually shown that Kageyama was tired, but it was mentioned briefly that Kageyama has to keep up with the monster, which is Hinata. And that's going to be very stressful, and it's going to tire you out, having to constantly hit the ball towards Hinata. It's going to tire you out, and having to keep up with someone like Hinata is going to drain your stamina, and everybody has different types of stamina, for instance, until they get tired, and everybody has a limit, and Kageyama might hit his limit before the match is done because of what Hinata is having to do right now for the match. He's having to go all out and do these risky plays, which are very impressive, but it's very, I guess, bad for the team overall in the long term because it's draining everybody's stamina, not just Kageyama, but also Hinata too, because Hinata, he's moving around so much, jumping so much, use winged spike, or like wing flying Hinata, just hitting the ball back. you have it to where this man is constantly running, and doing that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, it's going to get you tired. That's going to happen, and I'm just very fearful before everything is said and done that both teams are going to be so exhausted that every player is going to be like panting and making so many fuck-ups because they're that tired. I mean, that's probably what the final match is going to come down to, like the final set, is everybody's so tired and that they got to use, the mistakes that the opposing team is doing against them, and that's probably what's going to happen. And both teams are going all out, they're putting all the stops in to stop their opponent. It's not an easy battle for both teams, and that's tiring them out rather quickly. I mean, we got to look at their ace. I mean, let's look at Shiratori's ace. This man has been hitting so many powerful, spikes the entire time, going through blocks and stuff throughout the entire match, and that has to be quite the drain on a person, doing that constantly over and over, making this man constantly do stuff like that. They're draining his stamina, and right now it seems like it's rather endless. This man is a pure 100% monster, the way he continues to march forward and spike these balls back, break through the blocks, but it seems like he's not really affected by it at all. But there is a limit, and Kurosano needs to continue to push forward. Now, besides Kageyama and his stamina and Hinata and maybe the ace of Shiratori, let's talk about the other thing going on this episode, which is Nishinoya. Nishinoya, we know he's been having a little bit of a build-up throughout these recent episodes, since the match began. We know he's been having issues with blocking their ace's spike coming at them, and he's been trying to readjust, get used to it, because the man is left-handed. He's spiking the ball in a certain way that's very different. And Nishinoya, he displays this determination, how he's the only one that can compare to their ace, because he's the only one that can receive his hits and knock them back. He's the only one that can match him, fight him, go up against him. And I like this, seeing this characterization and development for him, and how he's determined to win this and know that he's the only one that can stand before this man. But also, I like where Suki, he also talks to Hinata, hey, you need to start, getting points, scoring some points and all that before we can make our move. And the reason for that was because it would get underneath the ace of Shiratori's skin. Like, let me explain, okay? The main point of these matches is kind of psychological warfare. There is psychological warfare going on. Not just, playing your opponents, but it's also psychological warfare. Getting under someone's skin and making them agitated to make mistakes. And that's kind of how Suki, does things. That's how he operates when he's doing his matches. We saw that in last week's episode. And he's trying to tell Hinata, in a way, you need to start scoring points to get under the skin of their ace, for he'll start making mistakes or focusing too much attention on you and start making some fuck-ups. That's kind of what Suki's trying to plant in Hinata's head right now. He's trying to let him know, you need to start going there, scoring these points, being crazy, because that will make them just really antsy and want to, kind of handle Hinata before anyone else. And Hinata is doing some really risky things, too, throughout the match. I mean, we saw this earlier on in the series, to where Hinata, when he was trying to block a ball, he slammed right into someone. He slammed right into him and knocked him out of the way, which could be very dangerous and lethal and could possibly injure both people to where they're knocked out of the match. And Hinata was doing that in this episode. You saw how he was quickly trying to move over, block the ball and stuff, or spike it back. And in a way, this is dangerous, but it's a very risky play that's also winning them the match. And this shows you how important this is to everybody, but also how far they're willing to go. They're doing such risky plays to be able to overcome Shiratori, and Shiratori realizes this. They're the type of team that are willing to be risky to overcome their opponent with brute force. So Haikyuu this week, a very good episode, a lot of different things about it that added characterization development for our characters. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.